We have a really fun and exciting and engaging session today because we are going to be discussing language choices. That means we are going to be considering why a writer has chosen a particular word or phrase in their writing and considering the effect that this has on the reader and how the reader feels at that point in the narrative or in the story. This is a really important skill to master because language analysis is something that crops up in more than one question in your exam paper. So practice for permanence of this skill means that you will feel very confident going into your exam because you know you have the weaponry in your arsenal to really attack that paper. Now, we are going to be looking at a piece of writing today called Aunt Peg. I am going to read this to you, and as I read it, I would like you to use your pencil and just underline or circle any particular literary devices that jump out at you. And then we'll have a look at them together and we'll start to analyse the effects of these choices by the writer. Okay. Our parents were overindulgent towards us, and we were happy, but not particularly well-behaved children. Maybe they felt guilty because, on one occasion, they had to leave home for 2 weeks on business and invited our Aunt Peg to look after us. She accepted the challenge eagerly. Vile Aunt Peg! Leering, sneering, peering Aunt Peg! We would be enjoying a friendly fight or just sitting doing nothing when she would pounce on us like a cat and savage retribution would follow. As we stood in the corner of the room with hands on heads, she would snarl, "How dare you, making my tidy room messy, wasting your time, I saw you." Aunt Peg had eyes on sticks. How she saw us we never knew. One moment she wasn't there, the next she was on top of us. She was a wizened, tiny woman of great muscular strength and energy, and her mouth was like an upside-down new moon without the hint of a smile. She constantly spoke of her philosophy of life, but we only experienced the superficial features of it. She kept us occupied at all times, sweeping the yard, tidying the house, and learning to cook tasteless, crumbling cakes. On the first day, she blew a whistle to order us downstairs to a breakfast of chewy, sugarless oat cereal. The sugary, salty foods we loved were locked away, and eating our morning bowlful was a lonely marathon. If we didn't eat it all up, we were given extra cleaning to do. By day 2, we were very mournful children. Nostalgia set in as we remembered our happier past. We went about our daily tasks like little zombies. We became uncommunicative and even forgot, to our aunt's extreme pleasure, to insult each other. Both of us longed for the day when our dear parents would return and unlock the barred doors of our prison. Okay, so I hope that my reading aloud to you has helped you to hear some of the literary devices as well as see them on the page. And actually, that's quite a useful tip. Obviously, when you're in your exam or doing any kind of work under controlled conditions, you can't just read aloud to yourself, but you can try to listen to the voice in your head as you are reading through the extract, and that will help you pick up on things like rhyme and sibilance and alliteration, and a thing that you can kind of really zoom in onto the individual letter. Reading aloud but quietly in your own head will really help you with that. Okay, so I can see that you have made some annotations and some underlines, which is wonderful. Let me just go through and pick up on some more pieces that I think are really interesting. So we have vile Aunt Peg. I thought it was very interesting that the adjective was the lead into the sentence and the lead into the description. I mean, it's not even a complete sentence, it's actually a fragment. But vile Aunt Peg, it forms such a part of her identity that it's almost her title, like Mr. Barry Jones, vile Aunt Peg. Here we have leering, sneering, peering. Now, this is almost like a double whammy because you have the rule of three and you also have a rhyme. So there are two different devices at play here, and when they are put together, it makes them doubly as emphatic, doubly as effective. Here we have, let me see if I can change my pen colour. Okay, so she would pounce on us like a cat. Can you tell me what kind of a literary device that is? Absolutely, it's a simile. So it is using the word like to create a mental image for us, a mental point of comparison. Pounce on us like a cat. Now, can I ask you to zoom in a little bit on the word pounce? That's a very deliberate word choice. She could have used a different word. She could have used jump. What effect do you think the word pounce has on us as a reader? What does it communicate? Absolutely. So pouncing is a very sudden and unpredictable movement. So if you think about how a cat moves, well, I think about how my cat moves. She has much better reflexes than a normal human. She can, if I'm playing with her, she can try and like nip my hand or bite me or swat me away much faster than I can actually move. So she has abilities much more kind of like well honed than a normal human. And I think that really lends to the idea of Aunt Peg's almost superhuman qualities. Okay. Here we have another literary device. Aunt Peg had eyes on sticks. Does she literally have eyes on sticks? Like the cartoon characters? No, she doesn't. So this is figurative, it's not literal. What kind of a device is this? We've had a simile already because it's contained the word like. What is Aunt Peg had eyes on sticks? It's a metaphor. Well done. Perfect. Okay, and I particularly like this quite extended passage. She was a wizened, tiny woman of great muscular strength and energy, and her mouth was like an upside-down new moon without the hint of a smile. So we have a couple of different things at play here that I am really keen to draw your attention to because I think they're so interesting. So we have a simile because we have the word like. So her mouth was like an upside-down new moon without the hint of a smile. So if you can imagine that, there's just a lot of darkness, a lot of blackness, and then a tiny slit of light upside down. So the complete opposite of a smile. What I wanted to draw particular attention to was the idea of the moon being used in this analogy, because the moon is often used to refer to the feminine spirit and feminine energies. And so this is great juxtaposition with her great muscular strength and energy, and then bringing in the idea of the moon. So it's a kind of an oxymoron at play. Okay, so I would like you to write your own paragraph or a few sentences using some bits of language from this text.